Morning, guys. It's Wednesday, I believe. It's either Wednesday or Thursday. Sorry about that. But anyway, looks like the ground has lost a lot of snow where I had plowed it and ice and everything. But right now it's drizzling and it's supposed to turn into freezing rain. So my weather informer from Michigan said it was going to do that. So it looks like we're getting some tiny little bit of black ice starting to form, but it's not going to be too bad on the ground here because it's sort of warm yet, but probably this afternoon it'll start to get icy. So just to let you know, that's where we stand in Pennsylvania so far. So you can see the temperature excuse me, somewhere around 25, I would say. So that is conducive to getting us ice rather than mud or rain. Or not rain, but mud. So it's going to freeze up sooner or later here, as soon as things get cold enough. Morning, guys. So I was reading some of my comments and stuff, or I actually read all of them, about yesterday's video, and it dawned on me that one of the comments was that they hope that younger people are listening to the words of advice that I have, and you know, not that I'm anything special, but I do know, you know, how to get some things done. And so I was thinking about this, and in the comments, and rightly so, from someone who, you know, knows things, the word diligence came up, and I thought to myself, well, everybody knows what diligence means. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, I taught in college and some of these people did not know what diligence meant and they never even performed diligence. So I'm going to talk about that. If you have a car, you should know about what's known as due diligence because it's in your insurance policy. If you own a home, you have a clause in there about due diligence. And what is diligence? Or due diligence. Due diligence is kind of like saying, you know, to simplify this, you're being diligent, due diligence. So in other words, what you have to do. So let's say you're in a car accident and your windshield gets broken. Naturally, the insurance company will probably take care of whatever and, you know, put a new window in. But it's on you to know, especially if you're not hurt or anything, but it's on you to know that you need to cover the opening where the windshield was. You can't just leave that open for all the rain to go in and then say, oh, I need a new set of seats or I need a new dashboard just because rain got in there. Sorry, guys. Sally has to go into town and she's worried about the ice, so she just kind of broke in there. Where was I? Yeah, if you have a car, like I said, you need to cover up the opening that, you know, doesn't that the dashboard doesn't get wet and ruined, fried electronics, and also that the seats don't get ruined, and then you try to say to the insurance company, well, you know, it's up to you to fix this, because that's not really part of the accident. That was you not covering the opening. Now, I can't say whether people are more greedy in this day and age than they were years ago, but they certainly seem more selfish. And with our youth being selfish, or, you know, thinking they're deserving of everything, you would expect them to be diligent in taking care of their stuff. Because usually when someone is selfish, they will take care of their stuff because it's theirs. But at the same time, for some reason, we've got mass confusion here where not only do we have the youth a little bit, not all youth now, I'm talking about some. Not only do we have where they're selfish, but then they have no diligence to do the things that they're supposed to do, to take care of the things that they were selfish about to begin with, which sounds confusing, but I know you older guys will know what I'm saying. I'm just hoping that anybody that's young and listens to this will understand it. And diligence is something that you need to do in business. But before we get to the business part of it, which is not a big deal, but you know, diligence is the same as acting and performing what is needed at the moment. Okay? So in other words, you know, like I gave you the example of the car. Let's say a tree fell down, you know, oh good, well, at least we're getting more lumber somehow. A tree fell down, put a hole in your roof. Okay, the insurance company is more than likely going to pay for the hole in the roof and fix it for you. But they're not going to pay for the bed mattress underneath if you've left rain and snow, you know, fall in there, or your freaking heaters went crazy pumping out heat because there's a hole through your roof. So you need to be diligent, and that's what that is, due diligence. That's what they mean when they say that in an insurance policy, to go up there and cover the hole, or at least try to. Now if it's, you know, if it was impossible to do, hey, then that's understood. But if it wasn't, you know, you have to perform certain things. So that's sort of your obligation, your part of the deal. You know, don't make things worse, make them better. And diligence has a lot to do with business, like I just said, and it has to do with business when it comes to, for instance, equipment. I don't care whether you have a computer or whether you have, you know, a $2 million bulldozer. You need to be diligent when it needs things. You need to make sure that you check things out every day, the oils and stuff. You need to replace them when the time is at hand. And the same thing with your computer. You know, if you don't update the software or update the virusware or whatever they call that, spyware and stuff like that, if you don't update those things, you know, sooner or later the computer's going to crash and you're going to wonder why, and you're going to have to buy another computer, which you really didn't have to do, but you're just doing anyway. And if you're one of those kind of people who like to have the latest and greatest, fine. If you're in business, you can have the latest and greatest as long as you're charging for it. In other words, if you have one computer that breaks down and it didn't pay for itself, you realize then that you have to put the price of that computer that's left, the balance of the payments on that computer, onto the new computer, and therefore you raise your costs, and then you raise the price of the goods that you're trying to sell, or the service that you're trying to perform. So this is where diligence comes in, and it's important in a lot of ways. You need to be diligent when it comes to keeping track of your records. You know, I for one have a journal that covers every penny we spend. I know where every one of them goes. All I gotta do is look at it. So, you know, and I gotta make sure I maintain it. Now I'm getting to the point where I'm sick and tired of paying bills at my age, and you know, it'll never end because you've got the light bill that always comes and the phone bill or whatever. So it's an ongoing thing, but you need to be diligent at it. And then when you get to the point where you can't do it, you have to have someone else do it. Now that can be a matter of old age, you know, when you're the ages that I am or older, or it can be you're in business, you are so busy that you don't have the time to keep track of the money and the numbers. Now that may seem hard, and it might seem like, oh, I hope I have that problem, but let me tell you, regardless of whether you're making a lot or making a little, diligence is needed to keep track of this, because if you don't keep track of it, you could find yourself, you know, having a lot of problems down the road. A lot of times I've seen businesses where people are making good money in their business, they're making a fantastic profit, but they have no cash. They have no, you know, ready cash because they've spent everything and they keep spending. And that's not good either. So diligence is needed to track things and to keep track of things. It's no different with the sawmill. The wood miser needs to be checked out every day, you know, the oil and stuff, and make sure things are tight. Not that you have to go over every single bolt. Excuse me, not that you have to go over every single bolt, but you know, you have to have a good eye for things, and that's what the diligence is. You're looking. I like to refer that to that event of doing that, of being diligent, as the eye of the master. And I think I've already told that story on YouTube. I won't bore you by telling it to you again. But, you know, the eye of the master, in other words, what is yours and what you own, you know about it. You know how it acts, you know what it does. It's the same thing, no different than like with the dog. I know what Bullseye's going to do in a certain situation pretty much. and I have expectations of him, and he fulfills the expectation. When you have people working for you, or even yourself, it doesn't matter, you are expected to do certain things. I mean, for one thing, if you're in business, the government expects you to keep some sort of records. You know, depending upon how big it is and how vast amount of money you're making, you need to keep records of some sort. And they realize that a lot of smaller businesses don't do it. That's why they developed the system that we have for, you know, like say different companies sending you, you know, a form at the end of the year telling you how much money you've either paid in interest or different things, so that, you know, or taxes or whatever, so you know where you stand. But anyway, diligence is the thing that you need to have. So for you younger guys out there, and so for older people who have forgotten these things, sometimes, you know, you do forget, or maybe you've, you know, had it a little easy, or maybe you're someone taking over the family. Maybe someone has passed on and you're, you know, having to take over the family. You don't realize sometimes the diligence that's needed to keep things in order. And hey, you can say, the heck with it, I don't care, but sooner or later that comes back to bite you. So the best thing you can do is be diligent throughout even your regular life. Even without being in business, you can be diligent with your money that you get in the paycheck. And if you are diligent and you pay your bills on time and everything, and you keep your act together, and you don't overspend, and you foresee issues ahead that could hurt you, and you try to avoid them, then you should be doing pretty well. But anyway, I just thought I'd do this little video here on diligence, and I'd kind of like to get a series going more about this just for the younger people. I was thinking about this, and I really think that there's a need out there for it. I know, like I say, when I taught, some of the kids were very badly misinformed on certain things. You know, a lot of them, their parents were paying their way through college, and they were forgetting where that money comes from. It doesn't just fall out of the sky. So as far as, like I say, diligence or due diligence, it's something that's expected of you. All right, so, you know, when you start yourself into a business, and especially this lumber business, it's competitive. Especially in my area, it's competitive. There's a lot of sawmills around here, and there's also a lot of people that buy timber. So, you know, you want to be diligent in your pricing and how you see things and what you know. It's up to you to find out all you can about, like I was saying last night, the species of wood, and, you know, the quality of the wood. This is all up to you. So you have to be diligent in getting this stuff taken care of. Most business people that I know are diligent, especially the ones who have been in business for more than, say, 10 years. They've learned to be diligent. If they weren't diligent in the beginning, they became diligent. And if they weren't in business for 10 years, there's one or two things. If they're in business for 10 years and they're not diligent, there's one or two things happen. Either they've been broke and keep borrowing the money to get themselves straightened out, or they've usually been in and out of business, or, you know, some sort of problem there. And that's kind of what happens when you're not diligent. But you will learn in time, or you'll suffer, one or the other. So suffering a little bit sometimes to teach you diligence is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, and it helps you to become, you know, a better business person and a better person all around, if you ask me. I mean, just like, you know, when the kids would get cars, when my kids were at home, you know, I would tell them, okay, well, here's where you check the oil, this is where you check the radiator, this is where you check the transmission fluid, and these are the things that you need to check. And if your car uses a little bit of oil, then you need to check your oil more often. Like, make sure you check it every day. It's nice if you have time to check it every day, but let's be real. You know, there's days when you come outside and it's either too cold, it's raining, and you just checked it not long ago, and you pretty much have been getting full, so you're not going to check it today. I understand that. But nonetheless, diligence is the name of the game. Sooner or later, you're going to have that diligence, or you pay, one or the other, or sometimes both. So, guys, anyway, like I was saying, I'd like to be able to continue some of this stuff with some other things that are geared towards business startups. So in my experience, the best thing to do is, when it comes to starting a business, would be to make sure that you're a diligent person by looking at what you have. Are the things you have in order? I mean, you know, I'm not saying you have to be immaculate, but I am saying that if you're driving junk and your house is a disaster and you know, you yourself are not well taken care of, you drink it to excess or you do anything to excess, no matter what it is, even eating like I do sometimes, you need to get a grip on that, okay? And it's only for your betterment anyway. All of what I'm talking about makes you a better business person, makes you a better person, period. So if you can follow this kind of thing, try and develop that in yourself, especially when you're young. If there's some young people here, or you grandparents want to have some of your grandkids watch these videos, you know, I think that this would be good advice from us. It would be a second mouth telling them, you know, diligence is important. You have to do what is asked of you, regardless of whether you hear the words or not. You know, you have to recognize the need. That's part of diligence. Recognizing the need is part of diligence. The main part of diligence is acting on that need, okay? Not waiting for something to happen, but acting on it. I know a couple of people that have vehicles where, you know, they get a little scratch in the paint and, okay, it's just a scratch. I'm not really going to do nothing, or I'll fix it later, I'll fix it later, I'll fix it later. The next thing they know, there's a 3-inch hole there where it rusted out. This is where being diligent, the first part of diligence is to recognize the need, but then they never follow through with fixing the need or solving the need or responding to the need. So you need to respond to the need, regardless of whether it's your clothing, your house, your bedroom, and how you do things, and your computer, your cell phone. All those things have a need, and you need to be responsible for them. So diligence is and responsibility, or taking responsibility, not just responsibility, but taking responsibility, would be about the same thing. So I hope this video helps you guys who are starting business or have been in it and are having a hard time with it, because really I think that the greatest thing we got going in America is to be able to be in business for yourself. I love it. I wouldn't want to do anything else other than that. And as I go on, I'll explain some other things to you. But anyway, guys, have a good one. And thanks for watching. We've got nothing but rain coming down now. And I hope Sally gets home without smashing up my car, or her car. But anyway, have a good one, guys. Bye. So guys, one of the other things, now that I think about it before I leave today with this video, is I want to talk a little bit about financing in my next video. You know, a lot of people sometimes, especially if you're not a business person, you look at financing as a bad thing. Financing is not a bad thing. Financing is a part of everyday business. Financing. Not paying it back, that's the bad part, okay? Financing is not a bad thing, because a lot of businesses need to be financed to get started. Big or small, financing is needed. It's just a matter of, like I said with the diligence, where does the money go? You know, if you're the kind of a person when as soon as you get a large amount of money under your control, the first thing you do is go buy a cell phone, or you go out and buy video games, or you go out and buy dinner, well, that's not exactly diligence with the money that you have. What you need to do is be frugal, which means to be very careful where you spend your money. Don't just spend it anywhere. It doesn't mean to be cheap. It means to be thoughtful before spending. So I'm going to talk a little bit about financing and stuff, and how how you can get financing when you're a small business to be able to you know, to keep your business going or get it off the ground and make it work for a while. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, I found something I thought you would think is pretty neat. Check it out. A set of them. It's unusual to find a set Now in Pennsylvania we would call this a 6-pointer. I know you guys out west I think only call them a 3-pointer, but either way, this is a 6-point rack. It would have been a legal deer. It's really unusual to find a set of them. Usually you find one, but what's nice about this is no mice have been chewing at them or anything yet. So they're actually pretty pristine. Thought you'd like to see that. Pretty nice, right? They were just laying along the one path that I have. Apparently the deer came up the path and just dropped them both at the same spot. Normally you don't see the both of them. I've done found a couple. I have about four antlers, 6 now with these, and the ones I have are always one set. They're never this whole thing. So pretty neat, right? I'm happy to find that. Have a good one, guys.